face a crossroad. For members of the United States gymnastics team, this is a time to look back at where they've been and look forward to where they still can go. The dream of a third Olympic appearance is alive for Shannon Miller. The journey continues for 16-year-old Dominique Moceanu. And Dominique Dawes believes she's on course to reach Sydney as well. Amy Chow has chosen the route of higher education, though her gymnastics remains at its peak. And 96 team captain Amanda Borden is moving on with her life, retiring from gymnastics competition. For the American men, two-time national champion Blaine Wilson has designs on leading the U.S. team toward a medal in the year 2000. And veteran John Roethlisberger hopes that his career has room for one more Olympic moment. Today, these journeys cross paths. Welcome to the CBS Sports Spectacular. We are in Toledo, Ohio, on the shores of the Maumee River. Inside the Toledo Sports Arena, it's the ERA World Professional Gymnastics Championships. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrea Joyce. Thanks for joining us. In the gymnastics world, we are at the critical halfway point. 2 years after the Olympic Games in Atlanta and 2 years before the Games in Sydney. Now, many of the world-class gymnasts who have gathered here in Toledo for this two-day competition are in the midst of making major career decisions, trying to determine whether or not to continue on as competitors. Included in the women's field, a perfect example, two-time Olympian Shannon Miller, still uncertain if she will go after a third appearance in the year 2000. And on the men's side, another two-time Olympian, John Roethlisberger. At age 27, though, he definitely has his sights set on Sydney. And joining me now to help call this competition, 1984 Olympic gold medalist Peter Vidmar and Julianne McNamara. Julianne, last week in Lowell, Massachusetts, we saw the women compete at a very high level. What do you expect to see here today?
The same high level, plus the gymnasts are adding even more difficulty trying to improve their routines for a number of different reasons. Dominique Moceanu, she has stated that she is training for the Olympic Games in Sydney. After growing 5 inches, it's been an adjustment period for her, but she's finally getting back to her old form. And Shannon Miller, the most decorated American gymnast ever. She's undecided whether she'll train for the Games in Sydney, but it's apparent that she has left the door open. She's in extremely great shape and competing very well.
And a lot of questions still to be answered. And Peter, on the men's side, 5 of the competitors here in Toledo were on the 5th place team in Atlanta, and that has kept many of them very motivated for the future.
And even more motivated after their showing at the World Gymnastics Championships. Less than 1 point away from winning a medal at the World Championships, the U.S. team has been led by Blaine Wilson. Clearly one of the best all-around performers in the world now. He's proven himself in many competitions, especially a convincing victory at the recent American Cup. John Roethlisberger also has some choices to make. He's chosen to go on to Sydney, but it's going to be a little tougher road for him. Let's see today if he can regain that form that made him the top U.S. gymnast for many years.
Here are the rules for this event. This is a 2-day competition. The women will compete in 5 rotations, the men in 6. Will work under modified NCAA rules. All the scores are combined to determine a men's and women's all-around champion. Today, the women will start on vault, and then they'll move over to the uneven bars and conclude day 1 on the floor. First up on the vault, Yelena Prodanova, 18-year-old Russian. She won the bronze medal at the all-around competition at last year's World Championships, and she's considered by many to be one of the most exciting gymnasts in the world.
And that's because she's very aggressive. Look at the fast run. She'll vault a half-on, half-off layout front. Little problem on the landing, but a good vault.
Keep your eye on Prodanova in this competition. She always delights the crowd with her exciting, daring combinations.
Well, she's so strong. Look at the push off the horse. A little bent form in the air. That'll be a slight deduction. You can see here, as she pushes off the horse, her form breaks.
Prodanova won the gold medal in vault at the Russian Cup in last year's competition.
Ladies and gentlemen, the vault score for Yelena.
And for that vault, Prodanova scores a 9.65. Next up on the vault, Amy Chow. Amy was a member of the 1996 Olympic gold medal team, the first Asian American to win an Olympic medal. Amy won the Women's Professional Gymnastics Championship last week in Lowell. And Julianne, it's amazing the level at which she competes, especially considering the fact that she is now a full-time student at Stanford.
Well, it just proves what a great athlete she is. She's not putting in the hours, but she looks as though she has. Pike front with a half. Excellent vault. Very difficult. And the key to this vault is a fast approach so you can drive your heels. She has a slight leg separation in the pre-flight, but a great vault. Here's where you can get a better view of the separation and almost nails the landing.
So the pre-med student scores a 9.9 on the vault. Here's Shannon Miller, 21 years old. She won this competition last year. Shannon, the most decorated American gymnast in history, 7 Olympic medals from 1992 and 1996. The only American in history to win world all-around championships 2 years in a row.
And in a sport where things are always changing, it's amazing that she stayed at the top for as long as she has.
And told us that she's still working on new skills all the time.
And that's the nature of the sport, always changing. Here's a Yurchenko vault. Half off layout front. Good distance from the vault.
Shannon's coach, Steve Nuno.
Watch, she'll actually tumble onto the board. Round off entry, back handspring onto the horse. She gets great height and distance from the horse. She would have probably liked to stick the landing a little bit better, but overall, an excellent vault.
So Shannon Miller matches Amy Chow's score of a 9.9. Lilia Podkopayeva getting set to go. She's the 1996 all-around Olympic champion. Born in a very poor region of eastern Ukraine, a coal mining town of Donetsk. This is Lilia's first competition since ankle surgery in February. We asked her how it's been.
My ankle good. This is my first competition. I want so much compete.
And she may not be fully recovered. She's performing a much simpler vault than she normally does. She's a very powerful gymnast. Pike front. Watch as she explodes off the horse. And watch how fast she rotates. Not a great landing.
Well, despite her injury, this has been a great couple of years for Lilia. She's been touring the country with the other gymnasts, the U.S. gymnasts from the Olympics, and her life has been totally different. Had a lot of fun. The lack of difficulty hurt her there, though. Just a 9.6 for Lilia Podkopayeva. Still to come, she stole America's heart at the 96 Olympics. Dominique Moceanu on the vault when we come back.
CBS Sports Spectacular